My goal in all of this is not really to attack the church or to attack any particular leader, but I will be honest and transparent about who the actors are and who's involved and the communications that I've had, because I think transparency and non-secrecy is an important part of any community. That's a mental health practice, right? So I will try to be as genuinely and sincerely honest as I can. So one of the things that really happened in my trajectory as a member of the church, not in my professional life, and I've spoken to this before, is that when my daughter at the time, who now identifies as gender non-binary, but at the time she was in Young Women's and was the MyMaid president, and was called in and basically released in a fairly, I'd say, harsh and disciplinary form because of her involvement in her Gay Straight Alliance group at her high school, and also because of her, I think she had made a few posts on her Facebook account about supporting the ordained women movement, which was happening at the time with Kate Kelly and other important feminist Mormon figures in our community. So that was devastating to her, devastating. And in that process, they had actually broken one of the requests that I had made, which was not to have my daughter in a one-to-one closed-door interview session. And when I was finally called into that meeting, my child had been in that room for over an hour with our bishop at the time, trying to defend, her ideas and why she was still very much committed to wanting to be the MyMaid president. And, when you see a kid of yours who is just so excited to have a calling, so excited to fulfill her responsibilities, which she took so seriously at the time, be devastated in that way when you see your own child hurting. I can't even imagine what some of our mama and papa dragons have been through. I'm a mama dragon, but kind of in more serious types of issues even than being released as a MyMaid president. It was devastating to me to have my community, my leadership, the ward that I was in serving week after week, harm my child. That was a devastating, I literally probably cried for weeks thinking about that. And at that point, that was a turning point for my kid, and they no longer want to be associated with the church. They have developed a very, adversarial approach, see it as very harmful and part of a toxic and emotionally abusive system that they are now still recovering from. And to have my kid have that narrative about a church environment that I took her to, that I raised her in, and that I trusted people to help. And instead they were harmed in this way was astronomically devastating. So at that point, we went from 1 week being completely active, callings, going to church, kids and boys and scouting programs, to taking a sabbatical, because there was no way that I could ask them to return to this place where they now felt othered, unwelcome, judged, and quite frankly, demoted. It was pretty clear that they were never going to be able to have the same experiences as the other kids in the group because of their identity and their positions in regards to social justice of all things. This kid of mine is phenomenal. The church lost a phenomenal child of God who will advocate for any marginalized person and give the shirt off their back to anyone. So if you're going to call me to repentance for speaking sexual truth, I call the church to repentance for damaging my child. And damaging our family, because it was very interesting. I expected, I can't tell you how many countless hours I've served my ward communities, always doing all the things we do, right? The casseroles and the callings and the teaching and the preparing lessons. And I thought, well, within a week or two, they're probably going to notice that I'm not there anymore. And here will come the brigade, and so I'm going to have to prepare to answer all these questions and why we're taking a break at this time. And it was crickets, which that was devastating in of itself, that they knew we were hurting. They knew we were struggling, and we were just abandoned. That is not a ministering church. We're not doing our job as a ministering church if that's what we do to people that can't feel like they really fit in, although they want to. We can and we need to do much better than that. So that was a second devastation for me, that really I felt discarded.